Welcome back to Fast Market here on the TD Ameritrade Network. I'm Tom White, joined by my co-host Kevin Hinks. But let's bring in our next guest for our cash tag segment. That's going to be Andy Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're talking Chewy. The stock's down over 30% so far this year. Got a downgrade today, but it seems like average ticket prices are still rising at this point. It seems like they're combating some of the competition from Petco and PetSmart and even Amazon in that space. Are you seeing continued demand? Because it seems like, people will pay anything for their pets at this point, right?
Yeah, there was a big shift during the pandemic. I think people kind of got their wallets out for their pets and really started to appreciate them, especially when you're kind of locked in the house with them, and that was some of the only companionship you got. So Chewy is an enormous beneficiary of the pandemic. It's one of those right place, right time type of companies, just like Peloton. We're starting to see in LikeFolio data, that honeymoon coming to an end. That we're starting to see some deterioration in that in those Chewy numbers. We start with Chewy's auto ship product, which is a fantastic product. It gives them subscription type of revenue for pet food and makes things a lot more predictable for the company. But we're seeing some drop off in demand for that product. More importantly, though, I think the cancellation mentions we're seeing really on the rise, and that is people leaving Chewy's auto ship or subscription line and veering out a little more back to the store or to other competitors. Chewy's starting to lose a little bit of that business. I think they'll have to address that on this call, if not this call, then the next, because it is definitely a real problem for the company. I think overall, this is a very good company, that treats its customers right. Consumers really love this company. But what we're starting to see is that, that slow deterioration of the pull forward demand that occurred during the pandemic. And I do think, Chewy's growth prospects are much more limited than they were, than even Wall Street is viewing them as now, and certainly than they were a year ago.
Andy, the growth of this company since about 2016 has been meteoric in its growth, and the numbers are staggering. Revenue in 2016, $900 million. 2022, $8.9 billion. Gross profit margin, 2016, 16%, 2022, 26%. Their addressable market, $100 billion. The last 2 quarters, they've actually had profitable earnings. I wouldn't call them profitable yet, and they got punished because they weren't profitable. But this is a company on a path to becoming profitable. Is this just a valuation? I mean, their price to sales is now 2. It used to be 6. So this is just a company that's got punished because they're not profitable yet, and a valuation and inflation taking its toll on this company. But boy, you gotta like the growth of this company if you're watching the metrics.
Yeah, you do. I think, though, and I agree with you. I think Chewy is a fantastic company. I'm not sold on the valuation. I'm not sold primarily on the growth rate being sustainable. I think that what we're starting to see in LikeFolio data, less people coming to the website than in the past. In fact, purchase intent mentions at the lowest level since before the start of the pandemic. So that growth rate really starting to fall. We're starting to just question whether the ceiling is as high for this company as Wall Street thinks it is. And that's a tough question to answer. That's when you start to get in and focus on the profit side of things. And when you start to do that, the ratios get a little bit out of whack, and the company starts to look pretty overvalued. So, I think it's one of those debatable things that the market's going to have to figure out, is where is the ceiling for this company, and is the growth rate, that impressive to justify putting up with quarter after quarter, year after year of very small, if any, profits.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I was doing some background on maybe the pricing between like Amazon and PetSmart and Petco. They're actually right there, with them. So they're not. They could easily grow margins. I don't think people are going to get rid of it. But the chart I wanted to kind of focus on here, Andy, is happiness. I know that you guys really focus on that with your data out of LikeFolio. Happiness for Chewy about 84%. I mean, that's really good. And it seems like, you said cancellations are up, but I'm having a hard time when happiness is that where they keep a hold of you with the auto ship and then you spend more on their site. Is this something to kind of grab a hold of to the bullish side that, hey, happiness is up there and it hasn't gone down?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of the one caveat, that I have with this bearish take that I have on Chewy from here is that consumers really love this company. And, generally speaking, that leads to, higher ticket sales, more loyalty, less churn. I just think that we're in part of a cycle here, kind of a natural cycle where people start looking elsewhere because for a while it seemed like Chewy was the only game in town, and now there's some competent competition. You see Freshpet on the same chart with extremely high consumer happiness ratings. And so I think, again, Chewy does right by its customers. It's a great company. And, I'm not bashing them at all. I just feel like going into this earnings, we're seeing the loss of momentum in terms of consumer enthusiasm for signing up for auto ship or keeping that membership starting to be a concern that we think Wall Street should be paying attention to.
Yeah, that and the impending potential of a recession may be causing some headwinds. But hey, they send out birthday cards to my dog. So customer service is really good with Chewy.
And can you, wait, hold on. If this economy goes into a recession, are you going to spend less on your dog?
No, because...
No way.
Exactly.
You may actually spend more.
I might. I'll probably be home with the dog more. Hey, Andy, you guys have an earnings score going into this report tomorrow after the close?
Yeah, we're bearish on Chewy. I think, the recent bump in the stock price, we could see a retracement of most, if not all of that. I just think that the slowdown in the pace of growth is going to finally become a real concern for Wall Street, either this quarter or next. But I think the risk is to the downside here.
All right, great stuff. Great data as always, Andy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that's Andy Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio, helping us break down Chewy. Kev.